Okay, I guess we are ready. We can start. Today is the sixth Manydesign piece, and I will present Spring Boot Admin Server. It's a web application. I will talk about details in a couple of minutes. And Insomnia, it's a API client. My name is Emre Demircan. I am working in Manydesigns for around 4 years as a software developer. Let's start. Here I would like to present my outline. I will start with Spring Boot Admin Server. First I will mention about scenario, usage scenario, using given, when, then schema. And then I will show the supported features. And we will set up a Spring Boot Admin Server. And of course we need a client to have interactive section. And later, after Spring Boot Admin Server, I will mention about Insomnia API client, again the usage scenario, and it will be a live demonstration. Spring Boot Admin. Scenario is this. Given a Spring Boot application, when we register this application as a client for Spring Boot Admin Server, we can enjoy the management and monitoring of our application via admin interface. But what are the features that is supported in Spring Boot Admin? Here, I show only the features that I will present you later in interactive session, but we can find the more features in the official guide. In this admin interface, we can see some insights like health status, GVM, memory metrics, configuration properties, or if we have scheduled tasks, we can see also them. Then we can have see the log file of the application, and on fly we can manage the logs. Then we can have Java management extension beans interaction, and we can also view our endpoints and HTTP traces. If there is a cache that is configured on the client side, we can view these caches. And this is not persistent, but if status up, down, the event journal. And in case of the notification change, we have a status change, we have a notification via email select that I will show, but there are other channels that can be used. And as I say, this status changes in reality non-persistent, but Spring Boot Admin also allows usage of Hazelcast to have a cluster replication, so we can have a persistent data. As I said, the other features can be found in the official guide. Let's start interactive section. I'm sharing my total screen because I will have too many windows. So how to configure Spring Boot Admin Server? Actually, it's just in Maven we need to add these dependencies. So we need to enable admin server. We need to add an annotation enable admin server. So I already added and I already started the Spring Boot Admin Server. Here I will open the window. This is the main interface that you will see when you launch Spring Boot Admin, and so far there is no client, so we don't have any application registered. And as a client, I will use a simple library that we created. I will start this. Here we are. It's called MD Squeeze, and it's just running in 8080 in localhost. We can see the version. Then here we are. This is the first application that is registered. We can see the inside, as I said, the details, threads, process, memory heap, non-heap, and we will have we will use most of the time the actuator to reach other metrics. And here I just registered before some metrics, for example, how many times we call the health endpoint and how many times it returns success. For now, for every 15 seconds, it will increase because we call the client to keep it up to date. So we can add other configure other metrics if you want to follow. Then we can see the environment of our client application. Here we will see different kind of environment variables. And beans also, it shows if it is singleton or not. For example, this is the bean that I am using in the client application most of the time. And configuration properties, that is again we are using here actuator. And what I like here most, you can see also default values, because most of the time to find a default value, for example, if you want to search for this value as a default, you have to go to internet, search what is the default value, and but here you can see on fly the default values and the values that you set. I already scheduled for MDPs, I already scheduled 2 tasks. One of them is cron, one of them fixed delay. Here we can see the scheduled task. Unfortunately, we cannot stop them, but actually we can. I will show you later, but not on this interface. Another functionality that provides the log file. Of course, this for me not the best to have search and so on, but at least to follow some logs, it's beautiful. But the functionality that I want to mention more, it's the log changing on fly. I will open in another screen the logs file. Log file. Okay, the last log is at 6951. Now I will go to logger and schedule a task. Okay, this is normally in info level, as you know that there are 5 levels that logback provides, and I will just close this. Oops, here. We don't see anymore the log. So on fly we can change the log level. This is, I think, a pretty good functionality that can be used, especially in production server, because we don't want to log everything every time, but when there are some problems, at least we can change. Then, as I said, Java management extension, it came to Java with the version 1.5, and it provides the easy management of Java application, either locally or remotely. I created 2 management beans, and one of them related to cache, one of them is just to test. As I told you before, we couldn't stop the scheduled task, but to stop it, I just added a bean, and here I want to go to log file. Okay. I forgot to change loggers. Yes. Let me change back. Info. Okay, so we have again the flow. Okay, fix delay task 1. And I go to stop the scheduled task with the help of GMX. Execution successful. Stop scheduled task, a simple message. Another, just I want to update the message. Hello, hello. Execute. And I will write this message in my logs. Hello, hello, GMX message. Also, caches. You can see the caches. Right now, we don't have any cache, but with the help of Spring Boot, I added into my GMX bean cache manager. Current user, it's just a dump data. It returns Emre. And right now, if we go to cache, you can see we have the current user. here data is not cached yet. User shouldn't see this log next time. So let's see if actually really our cache works. I went again to the cache manager, current user, it returns Emre, but it didn't log anything. So let's go to clean our cache by this input admin. It's cleared. Now I go again gmx. Oops. Bills. So far I don't see any log. I call the current user method. Here I see again data is not cached because we already cleared with the help of Spring Boot admin. Here we can have the thread dump, heap dump, and we can follow our application threads. This is the part where it is shown all the endpoints of our application. Of course, it is not good to expose all the endpoints in production, but Spring Boot admin also allows the usage of specific endpoints. Caches I already showed. What else? Let's see a bit from here. Spring Boot application as client. Okay, I missed this point. Again, we need to add a dependency in a Spring Boot application that we want to use as client. As I said, for the test purposes, I just expose all the endpoints, but we need to have an attention in production. And the question rises if anyone can reach the admin server or not, who has access to our network. Unfortunately, Spring Boot admin doesn't provide any authentication method in the beginning. But of course, you can implement your own authentication using the Spring Security. Spring Boot admin just initialize login and logout page. How to register log file? Yeah, we just need to configure login file path and login file name in properties of client. GMX bean, for GMX bean, client wants to use the Spring Boot admin expect geologia. It is a Java management extension bean with JSON over HTTP. So again, we need another dependency in the client application. I didn't show you yet, but I will show very soon. As I said, the mail notification and select notification in status changes we can have. So I will go to my client and I will stop here. Okay. Should be refreshed every 15 minutes. It calls actuator health endpoint. So you should see instance is down. And I am expecting a notification. I just received right now. No, this is 2 hours ago. It should be it. This is a template that the Spring Boot admin use time leaf. So you can change your template as you wish, adding into templates. I will show you here under resources. So you can add any template you want. And also in our company we have a Slack channel. Here I have another notification and this piece is offline. And this is our client ID actually. Every time we call updater with this client ID. Let's go to presentation. Okay, custom notifiers. We can have custom notifiers depending on the event. So we can have our own events. If memory is 50% full, for example, you can create your own notifier. Spring Boot admin allows this by implementing the notifier interface. As I said, some data is not persisted. So for example, journal right now I have, but if I restart the Spring Boot admin server, I will lose all the info. But Spring Boot admin we can enable clustering with Hazelcast. Again, another dependency of Hazelcast and just a small bean. Of course, you can change this bean as you wish. This is just the simplest configuration. Actually, let's have a demo since we have time. I stop Spring Boot admin. I go to journal, it will say okay. Then I restart. Here we are. As you see, there is no event journal for now, but very soon the client will register itself. Okay, this is also down. Okay, as soon as we register, we will see the client. These refresh seconds, by the way, it can be managed by configuration. Just for me, it is, I think, 15 seconds. Okay, here we are. And right now we can see in the journal the status. Now to configure the Hazelcast, I will open the same application but in different port. Right now it's running in 8081 and I will run it also in 8082. Here we can see that when I ran the first time in my Hazelcast cluster, there was one member. Right now I am running the second application, which will be the second member in our cluster. Wait a little bit. Here we go. So right now there are two members in our cluster that shares the data. Now if I stop the first application and I restart, the data will be taken from another application by the help of Hazelcast and we will have the persistent data. So, but if all the instances down, of course we lose the persistence. And another thing is how to extend user interface. Spring Boot admin uses Vue.js, and if you wanna just change user interface or if you wanna have additions, you can implement views by using Vue.js, and it allows the custom views in user interface. Also, we can call custom endpoint call. It supports Axios. It is supported by Axios. There are much more information that can be found in the documentation. So Spring Boot admin is this. Now I am going to another technology, Insomnia. It's a app client. It's like a Postman. Most of you, I believe, familiar with it. Just what I like, it is for me, it is much simpler than Postman and the user interface for me much cleaner. I will show you, of course, the other functionalities. Again, the usage scenario, given an API that is used in architectural style of REST, SOAP, GraphQL, or gRPS. When we design an Insomnia API client, we enjoy the phase using API, centralized and automated tests, and we can create API pipelines with Inso. It is a command line interface that I will show very soon. For now, it's supported in these platforms. Let's go to interactive section. I will open on my Insomnia user interface. Here, it's the dashboard, and I use this application all the time as a client for Spring Boot admin, so I created everything here. In design, there are three phases in this interface: design, debug, and test. So 3 steps. In design, This is since I use open API, I can have this documentation in Swagger endpoint. And most of the Spring Boot application used this functionality. So we can import from OpenAPI, or we design our documents by using example. I go for now. Okay, when we create our our design document, we can see all the information here. We can see the paths of our REST endpoint, and we go to debug section. In debug section, I think in Postman also it is valid. You can use different environments. I have just for now a local environment and production environment. I use simply URL. And for MDPs, I created some request to our API. It is up, I guess. Yes, I have checked. Okay, because it's a production environment. I'm gonna use the local environment. Okay. Here we can see that all the history we can see. So I know that I use this endpoint with a available request, and it returned me 404. So I can have a clear history. I don't remember this in Postman. Here the health endpoint returns the status up. We can have postboot get other request. Here we can choose a HTTP request. Okay, let's delete. We can extract, we can generate code, and it is extended than PostgreSQL. For example, I don't remember Axios. Axios, because most now in Manydesigns in our company we start to use Axios, and there are other languages that we can find. Let's go to presentation to be on track. Create a new document in Insomnia, import an OpenAPI, REST request using different environments. Okay, after we created our request, what we can have the test session. This is I love. I created 4 test sessions. This is the API. Basically, I give a file and it extracts tests. So it's very simple API for MDPs. And I created 4 tests. One of them, let's go with authentication. I call authentication endpoint, and I am checking if it returns 200. It's a health check endpoint if it returns 200, and here multiple extraction. I give 2 files, and I say it returns me 200. Then it returns me actually a map. I know, and it should when I pass as JSON. Here I use Mocha framework and Chai assertion framework. I added into slide, but it's very simple. You can play with the test as you wish. Then we run tests. Right now I am using local environment, so I'm running tests. Waiting. Okay, all test based, and this is very good. This is good to have this functionality because, as you know, continuous integration and continuous development, we need sometimes such testing deployment to the master before go to production to be secure. So I really prefer Insomnia because of this reason. Let's go another functionality that I don't remember if it exists in Postman. Going to our debug session is authenticated. I have here an authentication method. It's simply a username, password, emremre. It returns me a JSON web token. And here in is authenticated, I can use actually this endpoint result. So I choose my endpoint, my request, post authentication. I know that it returned me raw body, and here live review what it returns. And if instead of raw body, if it returns a map, let's say, and we know that it is a data.id, you see in live review there is no result data ID because we don't return map. But if we would return, we could also use the ID from the response. So when I actually call this endpoint, it first recalls the authentication, it takes the result, and it launches authenticated. Is authenticated through. So this is another beautiful thing in Insomnia. Okay, and I will show you right now how I integrate it with GitHub. But as I said, you could also integrate with other platforms. You create here a new test suite, and you can synchronize with your Git. When you add a new test, you can commit. Before commit, of course, we pull, then we push. Before push, we pull and push to the master branch. So if I go to my GitHub, this is the here we will see Insomnia, here we will see the environment, test, and everything. And to create an action, it is really very simple. You add this workflow in GitHub. As I said, Insomnia comes with a command line interface. So I will just show up. Here we check we choose our specification. I want to use MD because I created for MD this one. Then run test. I want to run MD health check, and I want to use local environment. Okay, one of them failed, one of them not, because I simply said one of them will return 200, one of them will return 503, but it returned just 200. So we just take these comments and paste here. Of course, adding some steps. And whenever I push to the master, I will run this workflow. And last time when I ran, here we can see, I will not run again to not lose time. But here you can see a detailed explanation. So one passed, one failed, which one is failed, returns 200 because it returned 503. Then I will receive an email saying that my workflow is failed. So I will take action according to that. Okay, I show also GitHub. Okay, there are also a lot of plugins. It's Insomnia, it's an open source, and there are really too many plugins that is supported by added by the community. One of them is simple JSON parser. I was looking. Amazon Web Service single sign-on, Java Web Token Authentication, and too many you can find here, and it's really, you can add so easily. Yes, these are the presentations that we have done before in Manydesigns peers, and we are trying to create a build. Thank you for participation, and if you have any question, I would like to answer them. Let's wait a little time. I guess that's it. Thank you so much for your participation. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Emre.